Isn't it time we had an open and honest conversation about the state of our nation under the current Liberal government? The reality is stark. Canadians are facing rising costs across the board, and there are plenty of contentious government policies, not the least of which is the highly unpopular carbon tax. I, for one, am fed up with the federal government's approach to managing the economy. It turns out the budget doesn't actually balance itself. Statistics Canada said that mortgage interest costs have soared by 23% compared to last year, and rent prices have jumped over 8.9%. For many of us, home ownership is slipping further out of reach. The government boasts about affordable housing, but the reality is quite the opposite. Instead of building more homes and addressing the root causes of the housing crisis, we're seeing skyrocketing costs that are making it nearly impossible for the average Canadian to find a decent place to live. The strain is evident when you look at the numbers. To be able to live, Canadians on average are spending $1.87 for every dollar they earn. We're leveraging everything we have, remortgaging our homes, taking out lines of credit, personal loans, and maxing out our credit cards just to get by. How long do you think that that's sustainable? So earlier I mentioned the carbon tax. Our government claims this tax is necessary to combat climate change. Whether or not you believe in climate change is not the point. The point is, what is the true cost of Trudeau's carbon tax? The carbon tax is a burden on the middle class and low-income families who can least afford it. It's a tax on everything, from the fuel we put in our cars, to heating bills we pay to keep our homes warm in the winter, and not to mention, everything needs to be shipped, which is pretty much everything, is also subject to carbon tax. When the carbon tax was first introduced, we were told that the money collected would be returned to Canadians through rebates. But these rebates are a drop in the bucket. It's a classic case of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And in the end, it's the middle class that bears the brunt of this misguided policy. Small business, which employs the majority of the population, approximately 68%, and clearly the backbone of our economy, is suffering under the weight of the carbon tax. Increased transportation and production costs are passed on to consumers, leading to higher prices for goods and services. This cycle of rising costs is the death of our economic well-being and literally kills the ability for small businesses to thrive and create jobs. Let's face it, the Liberals have a spending problem.
That's why we're stepping up to meet the moment and solve the housing crisis.
They have taxes to the brink to fund their out-of-control spending. From bloated bureaucracies to ineffective programs, our tax dollars are being squandered instead of investing in critical infrastructure or providing relief to those who are struggling with rising costs. The government continues to throw money at programs that just flat out fail. Sure, taxes are an essential part of our society, but there's a limit to how much we can bear. The middle class is being squeezed from all sides, and it's time to say enough is enough. We need a government that prioritizes fiscal responsibility, reduces unnecessary spending, and lowers the tax burden on hardworking Canadians. What can we do about it? Well, for sure we need a different government that listens to the needs of its citizens and takes decisive action to address the economic challenges we face. We need leaders who will axe the carbon tax, build more homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, and stop wasting our money. Did you know that there's no such thing as government money? That's right. It's taxpayers' money. This government is a serious wrecking ball that's out of touch and out of control. Their policies are making everything more expensive and pushing Canadians to the brink. We need leaders who will prioritize the well-being of all Canadians, restore fiscal responsibility, and create an environment where everyone can thrive. Let's make our voices heard and demand the change we so desperately need. There are some ways to combat taxes and shelter some money still, but most will never know what these are because you just don't know what you don't know. If you want to know, check out some of the other videos on this channel. If you want to see one right now, check out this video on surviving the cost of the living crisis in Canada.